Right, okay, that's good. I like that more. Thanks. Thanks for your patience, and hi, everybody. Some of you probably know me. I'm a market researcher. I'm the owner of Laws Consulting, a market research agency that specialises in cultural methods. James, you were expressing concerns just now about what's being taught in universities in market research courses. I just moved into higher education as part of my ongoing mission to bring commercial and academic research as well closer to the edge of development. I'm a semiologist and a consumer psychologist, and I spend all of my time watching and listening to consumers online and offline. I just have a very few minutes with you today, and I want to talk to you about some thoughts that were sparked by recent conversations that I had with two people who I happened to meet as I was going about my business. For reference, they're both male and under 30, and I spoke to them both in London. So the first one in our little case study is a graduate, and he is thoroughly middle class, a British man. He enjoys a lot of responsibility in his job for a very well-known company that I won't name, but it provides a service that helps consumers access lots of premium products and especially services for less money. And he said to me with an air of absolute certainty, brands are dead. They are over. People don't rely on brands to make their decisions. And the second person who I spoke to sometime later is the same age. He's from South London. He's British. He has a very different background. He has a fairly ordinary day job, and he's also the owner of a very small business, almost a micro business. In fact, he is an Instagram entrepreneur. And the brand that is interesting in his life is his own brand, and I'll tell you some more about it later. But first, let's put all of this in context, which brings us to what you can see on the screen there. So we all know that consumer culture is changing, and in just about every sector, consumers are starting to take business and take matters into their own hands. So, you know, watching TV is fun, but probably not quite as much fun as hosting your own channel on YouTube, especially if you can make it successful enough to generate some ad revenue. And staying in hotels is okay, but the smart traveller builds up a reputation as both a guest and a host on Airbnb for a fraction of the price. Photography, everybody's a photographer now. Everybody's a retailer. Anybody can be a bank. Why should they choose your brand when they can make their own? So we've known about this situation for a long time, actually. Back in 2003, Paul McGill of IBM was pointing out that brands have long needed to make change to keep up with social trends. McGill cleverly identifies a paradigm shift as one theory of branding gives way to another. So first there was the engineering theory of branding. Brand owners were active in this scenario, consumers were merely an audience, and here changes in the brand cause changes in consumer behaviour. This gave way to the social theory of branding, and this new theory acknowledges that consumers are not passive, they have power, they make choices, they make brands fit into their lives. And brands have responded to that, but did they become social enough? So one good move that brands have made is to take up more social and cultural types of market research, like ethnography. But in my view, it is too often reserved for occasions where brands are moving into new territories that seem exotic or unfamiliar. And then call hunting was all the rage for a few years, wasn't it? And this was clearly another way in which brands tried to be more social, to acknowledge the power that is in consumers' hands. But it was a bit hit and miss. It just wasn't that reliable. And as a social scientist, I'm going to say that's because there was no concerted effort to connect these cool things to any larger social issues. It concentrated on the appearance of things, assuming that cool was a goal in itself for consumers, but this is not really enough to get to the heart of the issues. If we want to get closer to consumers and better understand how they want to be empowered, then we have to go further than asking what's cool. We have to ask what they actually care about. The image on the left there is a recent ad for a diet supplement that terribly misjudged the values of consumers, resulting in vandalism and the ads having to be removed from the London Underground. And on the right is an ad which has appeared in response, and this is where consumer thinking is at right now. Yes, of course they want to look stylish, but below that is a rock-solid foundation of belief that they are entitled to look however they want. So consumers are not going to be dictated to by brands, and they can recognise when brands are trying too hard. In the first weeks of the UK election campaign, mydavidcameron.com, a place where voters could make their own spoof ads reflecting their feelings, received more visits than the Conservative Party's official site. But there's more to this, actually, than consumer scepticism. Yes, it's true that they are less easily manipulated by brands than they once were, but they're not less easily seduced. They're very aware of themselves as brands and as voices. Some of them just enjoy being visible and having a media presence, and some of them have causes and culturally relevant messages. So that image on the far right is from an art project in which the artist publishes intimate photos of herself, the kind of photos that couples send to each other on their mobile phones and which occasionally end up on the internet. So what she's doing here is a fairly serious exploration of issues around publicity and exposure and sex in digital culture. This couple, I wish I had time to tell you more about them. You need to look them up. They are called Sam and Nia Rader. They are North American conservative Christians. They have their own daily video blog on YouTube. They became massively popular and also notorious overnight. They're very Marmite. You either love them or hate them. The fans like them because they are real, okay? They are not a corporate brand. They are real people. And amongst other things, their videos show them lip-syncing to popular Disney tunes. And in doing this, they are most certainly breaching Disney's copyright. Disney responded by inviting them to LA to appear in a professional video. And that is a very smart move, because there are two elements here. There are two cases of brands doing what consumers want them to do. So Sam and Nia represent a very distinctive brand in their own right. Their fans like them because they do what you want them to do. By that I mean they are very responsive to the reactions of viewers. If there's a complaint or a request today, they will generate a response tomorrow. And to a large extent, they let their viewers steer content. And secondly, Disney made a move that made everybody feel good about them. They could have simply demanded that the video be removed from YouTube. Instead, they partnered with Sam and Nia and enjoyed the PR benefits of their flash of popularity. And finally, I want to talk about this brand. This is a fashion brand called Cloud9 Movement, and it's owned by a single consumer. I mentioned him at the start of this talk. His name is Jermaine. He's 26. He didn't go to university. He doesn't read books about marketing, and he has a full-time day job that uses up most of his time. Despite this, Cloud9 is a fashion brand that he started with no capital, with nothing more than a dream. The brand has a website and also an Instagram account where customers become the models and upload photos of themselves wearing the clothes. I think this small and rapidly growing business is a really interesting case study precisely because it is about more than appearance. It's the opposite of cynical, detached, cool hunting. This business might not have a lot of material resources, but what it does have is soul. It has a set of ethics and a real mission, a reason to exist. The owner, Jermaine, says, "From the brand names to the marketing campaigns I see, most of the time I feel people like me are totally missed out. I wanted to create something for the urban market that represented peace, love and good times. I do think this is the main thing that drives sales. Being part of a wider movement is what has customers wanting to support the brand and its new products." So, are brands over? Well, this is the type of brand that captures consumer engagement and loyalty. It's real, it's full of soul, it's a brand that consumers can use for their own purposes. It is a brand that does what you want it to do. If you're a larger business, you can treat it as part of the problem or part of the solution. And I would pick the latter one. This small brand has something that larger brands want. If I had a business in young urban fashion or some related category, particularly something like festivals, I would be onto Jermaine right now, working out sponsorship and partnership deals, because you just cannot fake that kind of passion and sincerity, and that is what his customers are buying. These are the brands that people will still make room for in their lives. Okay, so we're right out of time. So here are some conclusions for brand owners and market researchers. Ethnography is for cultures you think you know, as well as those you don't. It's not a research method, it's a way of life. Look around you at your immediate surroundings. Find out the local customs, traditions, and structures of belief. Use semiotics and related branches of social science to monitor social and attitudinal change. to avoid problems like the Beachbody advertising fiasco. When paying attention to consumer culture, get beneath the surface. Engaging with ideas that stir opinion is better than trying to penetrate communities based on their external appearance. Watch how consumers use brands for their own benefit. There's valuable inspiration here. People want brands that are responsive, willing to form partnerships, brands that do what you want them to do. And support grassroots efforts. Small homegrown brands are already succeeding, and they are not the enemy. Their popularity and success can have PR benefits for your brand. And that's all. Thank you for listening.